Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shurgadirth, and welcome to my review for Tom Clancy's The Division for PC. Now, according to Uplay, I've spent about 55.5 hours playing the game, which, in my opinion, is more than enough to give you an accurate representation of the product. First of all, how does the game run? For me, it runs very well. I never drop below 60 frames per second, but I'm on a GTX 970, 16GB of DDR4 RAM, and an i7-6700K, and none of that is overclocked, but I'm not exactly running the game on maximum settings. I have a lot of the settings maxed out, but not everything. When I put everything highest as possible, I get around 30 frames per second consistently, which to me is not acceptable. I'm not going to play at 30 frames per second, so I just knocked down what I could to have it consistently at 60 without making the game look terrible. So, the game starts off fairly slow, mostly because it puts you into this stupid pre-game area, just so that you can learn the basics before the game sets you off into the open world map that you spend the rest of the game in. Which in my opinion wasn't really necessary. They could have just dropped you off in the game world from the start, and then taught you everything you need to know there, instead of having you go through this tutorial area that isn't actually part of the game. But oh well. So, a virus is broken out, you're sent into New York City to find a cure or the thing that caused the disease or something. I'm not really sure. I spent most of the game watching Game Grumps on my second monitor, so I have no idea what the plot was, but I don't really think the plot really matters that much in this type of game, because all you're doing is running around shooting things to get better guns, so that you can shoot bigger things that drop better guns, and that's the core progression loop. And let me just point out the first thing I noticed in the game that I really don't like. You can shoot dogs and kill them, but you can't shoot civilians. Why is that? Why not make it so you can't shoot the dogs or you can shoot the civilians? Your character is clearly a murderous psychopath. At least when I'm playing him, he's killed well over 10,000 people. Why can't I shoot dogs? Why can't I shoot civilians? Make one of those equal. Can't shoot them, can shoot them. Either way is fine with me, but don't say that a dog is worse than a random NPC, because it's not. An NPC dog is better than an NPC human. That is a fact. But while you are deciding whether or not to be a horrible monster and murder dogs, you may notice that the weapons, unlike most shooters I've played, feel different from one another. In most shooters I play, the guns have slightly different fire rates, slightly different recoil, doesn't really change the gameplay much, but in Tom Clancy's The Division, all the guns kind of feel different from one another. They have different targeting reticles, they work different ways, and they all have different things that you can attach to them that increase the DPS in different amounts. Like an SMG, that is best with fire rate, crit, and crit damage. But other guns aren't like that. Say, a sniper rifle doesn't really get much at all from fire rate. It gets almost nothing. Which of course means that the gear and mods that you have don't work with everything. You can't just go around switching weapon types all the time. At least, you can while you're leveling, but not at endgame. You need basically a completely different set of gear if you switch between an SMG and an assault rifle, because the assault rifle, while it may do more damage, all the stuff you have that make the SMG good don't really work that well for the assault rifle, because the SMG gets bonus crit rating and the assault rifle doesn't, which unfortunately right now means that the SMG is pretty much the only weapon worth using, at least DPS wise. I run personally with an SMG and a sniper rifle. The sniper rifle just because long range, the SMG doesn't work. Mine has an optimal range of like 13 meters, which most of the time enemies are more than 13 meters away from you, so that's not very effective. The higher tier rarity weapons in the game do have abilities which change that around a little bit depending on which ones you get, but that can actually hurt you a little bit if you don't get the right one. Some of them don't increase your DPS at all. Some of them are just, when you kill something with this, gain some health. But some of them are like, this weapon has 42% increased accuracy, which is incredible. Or this weapon has like 50% more crit damage, which is incredible. Those all factor into the weapon's DPS, which I'm not sure how that's calculated, but it's displayed on the thing. And it seems like the higher DPS you have, the faster stuff dies, so it's not inaccurate or anything like that. The weapon I'm using right now is an SMG with around 130,000 damage per second, which means that I kill stuff very fast. Not incredibly fast. Red health mobs, which is a standard enemies you'll face through most of the game, die in like 3 or 4 bullets, and purple health, which have armor, die in about half a magazine, and yellow non-boss enemies die in about a clip plus a couple extra bullets, which to me is incredible. I could never do that when I was leveling, and it's very enjoyable to just plow through a high level, high health enemies. Just death right away. Kill them all.
Seek and destroy!
And then you get another piece of worthless loot that doesn't increase your damage at all. Because the more damage you do, the less damage the upgrades give you. Which, I mean, I can't really fault the game for that, because that's how pretty much all looter shooters work. But it's still annoying when you do like 40 dungeons and don't get a single upgrade. Unfortunately, the only armor in the game that has abilities are the high-end ones, which are the rarest ones in the game. And I've never actually seen one of those drop. I've only seen them on vendors, through crafting, or through completing a challenge mode dungeon. So I've never seen one drop, which makes them very, very hard to come by. Which I guess is good. You don't want everybody to just have full best-in-slot gear right off the bat, but that's why they're releasing more stuff later with better gear. You can customize most of the weapons too with skins or magazines, scopes, muzzles, handbrakes, stuff like that, which all add their own stats to it, augment it in some way. None of them give extra abilities, which I think would be cool. It'd be really cool if there was like a muzzle brake that made all the rounds explosive or something like that. Yes, I know it's a Tom Clancy game, so it has to be somewhat realistic, but they already have explosive and fiery stuff in the game, so I don't think it really matters at that point. Aside from item customization for stats, there's also a lot of customization for the way that your character looks. These items drop all the time. They're like a light blue color, and they don't give you any benefit, but they do make you able to customize the way your character looks significantly. There's hats, there's pants, there's shoes, there's coats, there's shirts, there's even scarves. And in my opinion, scarves are the best part. Scarves are great. And they're also, for some reason, the rarest part. You can change around a lot of stuff. There's lots of options for hats and coats and pants and stuff like that. A lot of them look the same, and a lot of them are just color variants, but there are lots of styles. Like hats, they got like pom-pom beanies and flap caps, and the ones with the visor. Ball caps, I guess. Hats are good. I prefer the pom-pom beanie, but I'm not wearing it right now. I don't have a red one, and I have a red coat, and I like the red coat, but yeah, I want it to match, so I'm not wearing it. And it's good they had that too, because there's not really that much facial or body customization whatsoever when you're creating the character. Like, there's a little bit, but not as much as pretty much any actual RPG I've played recently, like Skyrim or fucking Fallout 4. Nowhere near the customization of that, but the gear visual customization does make up for that substantially. God, I love my scarf. More like Fashion Simulator 2016. Also, just so you know, there's no stamina in the game. You can sprint forever, which is wonderful because there's a large amount of just running through nothing between actual things to do in the game, which I know they can't just chock it full of stuff, and every once in a while there's enemies around for you to shoot, but usually just like a couple of them. So if you couldn't sprint throughout the entire game, it would take you so long to get to places. Ugh, it'd be garbage. Luckily, there's also fast travel in the game. On the note of running around forever through nothing, who the fuck at Massive thought it was a good idea to put several missions in the game where you just run through a gigantic empty building with no map looking for the thing you're supposed to click on? I mean, some of them have upwards of 20 minutes on the countdown timer. Yes, there's a countdown timer on it for some reason, so you can actually fail it and have to start it over again. Who thought this was a good idea? That isn't engaging gameplay. There's nothing to shoot in there. It's a third-person shooter. There's no loot, there's no enemies, there's nothing. You run around the most boring part of the entire game looking for the thing to click on for up to 20 minutes! Why? Why is that necessary? Oh my god. When I'm doing those missions, it just feels like Ubisoft is purposely trying to waste my time. And there's nothing worse than a developer or publisher who doesn't value the time of the people giving them money. It feels like waiting for the countdown timer in one of those stupid Facebook games, except I actually just sit there at the computer watching it count down, or else the fucking timer resets. Yes, I know you don't have to do them. They're completely optional, but they give you resources for the fucking upgrade shit, and it shouldn't be there in the first place. Replace it with something that's actual gameplay, instead of just like, oh, we coded this giant building, you want to put some stuff in it? No, we don't want to put anything in it! Just have them run around and click on the thing! Call it virus research so that we can work the plot into there somehow, even though it's fucking pointless! And if you don't know what I mean by resources, you can upgrade your base with them. It tells you all about it in like first main story mission outside of the tutorial, so I'm not gonna go too in depth about that. So when you get the resources, resources, you upgrade the thing. The easiest way to get them is just do each of the main story missions, which are the dungeons. I'm just gonna call them dungeons from now on, because it's easier. They're fucking dungeons. Just call them dungeons. You don't need to rename dungeons every time you make a video game, okay? I see people do this all the time. You don't need to do it, just call them dungeons. They've been called dungeons for 20 years. Just call them dungeons. The dungeons are pretty exciting, though. I'm the kind of player that every game that has dungeons, the dungeons are always my favorite part, unless they're fucking terribly designed. Like, World of Warcraft, run dungeons all day. Fucking Elder Scrolls Online, run dungeons all day. Always run dungeons all day. Dungeons are my favorite part of games. They're just fun, because they're more challenging than just running around killing non-elite enemies all the time. Plus, it's really fun to run around doing shit with other players, even if they're just public people that you don't even talk to. It's just more fun and engaging than just running around shooting stuff by yourself. And that's not to say I can't do that. When I max level and have good gear, I can run the hard dungeons by myself for the most part, without any trouble, but I can't do the challenges. I don't think you'll ever be able to do the challenging stuff by yourself, just because it's so ridiculous. Some of them, I don't even know what they were thinking when they designed them. Like, I don't remember what it's called. I'll put some footage here in a second. Yeah, there it is. Fucking, they send just a giant wave of like 10, and then another 10 after that, of nothing but shotgunners, fucking grenade-throwing people, and then a couple of people who just sit behind it. It's mostly just shotgun people and grenades, so you can't stay in cover to avoid the shotguns, but the shotguns fucking one-shot you. I don't know, it's not fun. That one's not fun. All the other ones are fun, though. I've done most of the other ones, at least once, completed it. That's the only one I can't do. I can't even get the first area. It's, I don't know, they need to change it or something. The other ones are great, wonderful, challenging, fun to get through. That one not. Especially because the second wave always kills you. I've never got past it, and it resets when you die. I don't know. Maybe for the ones that you want to be super challenging like that, at least make it not reset all the way to the beginning. Have it reset based on waves. Like if you get past the first wave, okay, when you die, you start at the second wave. Because the second wave is much harder. So just make it start there, so you can at least have a chance at getting past it. Then, at least your group won't completely disband when you wipe to it one time, because they're like, oh, I don't want to sit here for 10 minutes trying to kill the same enemies again that don't drop any loot. There's also a lot of consumable items in the game, like food and water and those explosive rounds that I mentioned earlier. But I've never really used them, just because they're a little bit clunky to actually mess with. Same with the grenades. Very clunky. The wheel, you'd think it would work how weapon wheels work in every other game that's ever had a fucking weapon wheel. You hold the thing, and you move to the thing, but no, it's like, it's 8 directional, or however many options there are, but you can only move in that direction, and if you're moving in slightly a different direction, then it goes to the one next to it, instead of it just accounting for the full 360 degrees that you can move a mouse in. It's really annoying. You can keybind all the grenades and consumables, but I don't really have many keys that are accessible that I'll remember what they actually have assigned to them, so I don't really do that, but if you're used to having a lot of keybinds and stuff like that, you can do that to make it easier and you don't have to deal with the weapon wheel. So that's a plus. Now, this is a Ubisoft game, so as expected, there's a fuck ton of bugs in it. I didn't actually run into any of them at all until I was already max level, which was really weird. I know this isn't how it is, because it's crazy, but it's almost like they designed the game with the sunk cost fallacy in mind, where if we don't have any bugs until they've already put enough time in it to make them not want to quit the game, then we can just have all the bugs happen then and the game can just fall apart around them and they'll still play it. Wonderful! And then you get to max level and you find out, oh, I started falling through the ground and the textures aren't loading, and also all the fucking quests disappear from the map randomly. That happened to me. I don't know what happened. I don't have any footage of it, but all the quest markers, like the little fucking things that give you resources and all the other shit, just disappeared on me. At once! There was none of it! None of it! I don't know what happened. I eventually figured out a way to do it. I had to join a friend's game a whole bunch of times until, I don't know, his game made my game realize I hadn't done them yet. And then I watched a video last night, and a guy said that that's actually a glitch, the way that you get it back, because apparently you can redo the missions if you go to a person's game who hasn't completed them yet. So, I didn't actually fix my game, I just glitched it so that it was fixed. Really? Why? Have you ever had an experience like that, where you fall in love with a game, it is everything you, like, more than you thought it was gonna be, incredible, fun to play, and then all of a sudden, everything just disintegrates around you, and everything you feared could go wrong turns out to have been true after you've already put like 20 hours into the game, and you're like, where did this come from? Did they patch the game to be shit? I don't know. That's Tom Clancy's The Division. I loved the game, and then that shit happened, and I needed like a day and a half to just sit there and try to compose myself so that I wouldn't just shit all over the game for just breaking like that. Some people want to say that it doesn't really matter that much because it doesn't happen very often, but the fact that it happens at all just ruins all my other experiences in the game. Because every time I do anything at all, I'm just fearful that something's gonna break, and it's just gonna ruin my night of playing the game, and I'll just be like, oh, I guess I'll just go do something else because I don't want to fucking deal with this shit right now. Now, I've said before that Dead Island is my favorite game of all time, which isn't exactly true anymore. Now it's Undertale, thank you, Toby Fox. And when you have a game that makes someone who loves Dead Island angry about bugs, you have fucked up. I should probably start talking about the Dark Zone, shouldn't I, since that's a lot of the end game stuff. I didn't like the Dark Zone to begin. When you don't have very good gear, it's very difficult to get ahead there, and a lot of the time there's just a giant roaming band of murderous players trying to just grief everybody, which isn't very fun, but a lot of the time there isn't. Like, that's very rare that happens, just because there's not really much reward from killing people. There should be, because they touted the game as being like a heavy PvP-oriented thing in the Dark Zone, but it's not, because killing people in the Dark Zone doesn't really give you that much at all. You lose a lot more when you die as a rogue agent than you do gain from doing it. Like, incredibly more. It's just not worth it, ever. Unless you can kill like 100 people and you're in a giant group, which is what some people do. Anyway, so the Dark Zone is a very good place to get gear once you have gear, which sounds redundant, but since it's a gear-based game, that's actually really good. Especially because most of the gear that drops there is purple. Like, a lot more purple than you'd get from like a hard or a challenging dungeon, which is good. It's fun, especially when you have a couple people with you. Dark Zone is very fun. Like, once I really got into it, because I had enough gear to actually solo the stuff, when you can solo everything in there, going with a group of people is way more fun. Because if you can all solo it, then you just blast through everything and you just get so much gear. Oh, so much gear. It's great. The only problem is that you have to extract everything to be able to use it, which requires you to go to this specific point. There's like, I think 10 of them across the map. Could be more, could be less. I'm not sure. I haven't counted. But it takes about 2 minutes for the chopper copter to get there that brings the stuff away. But in order to summon the chopper copter, you have to launch a flare into the air, and when you do that, a message pops up telling everybody in the zone you're in that you just did that, and then it starts glowing on the map where you are. So anyone who wants to kill you can come do that. It doesn't tell you exactly where you are, it just tells them the drop point that you're at. But if there's a roaming band of murderous players, then they'll find you and they'll kill you. They're like fucking Liam Neeson, but times 4. Not to say this is a bad thing whatsoever. I mean, it's a good thing that it's like that. It makes extracting your gear suspenseful. It's just a little bit annoying when there is a band of people trying to kill you, because you can't really ever get any items out of there, and it just ruins the experience until they get bored. Now, the Dark Zone currency that you get whenever you kill something in there, be it player, NPC, or whatever, that's cool. I like the idea behind that, but I don't like the way they implemented it, because you have to be level 30 to spend any of it, and it's not very expensive, the stuff. Like, a lot of the purple stuff costs under 10,000 credits, or whatever they call it. But I'm only level 24 in a Dark Zone, and I have 70,000 credits right now. I have way too many to not be able to spend them. It's crazy how high you have to be to do that. I don't know why the minimum is 30. That makes the first 29 Dark Zone ranks completely meaningless. You can't do a single thing with a Dark Zone rank until you're rank 30. You can't open any of the special chests that require Dark Zone rank because they all require 30. Can't buy any gear because that all requires 30. And don't even get me started on the ones that require rank 50. I mean, it's good that they're higher requirement, but don't make them all the same requirement. Make the requirement like randomized or dependent on the stats on the item or something like that. Like, if it's really good, have a higher level requirement or rank requirement. Don't just have it baseline be 30, because sometimes there's a really cheap item that really fucking sucks. You should be rank 30 to use it when you've got like 100,000 credits. Why? That's not necessary. It's not necessary at all. 30 is too high, especially when you can't do anything with it until then. Oh well, these are minor complaints. The Dark Zone's fun. That's all that really matters. Running around in a 4-player band in the Dark Zone is fun also. Like, I haven't done that PvP-wise. I wouldn't, because, you know, I know that there's not really any point in doing that. But it is very fun to do that regardless, even if they're random people. Just like dungeons. It's fun. Who'da thunk that it's fun to play with other people? That's not really something you can count towards the game being good, because pretty much any game is better when you're playing it with other people, regardless of how shitty the game is. But it is fun. That's worth mentioning. It'd be really weird if it wasn't fun, but it is. So, yeah. In closing, I just want to say that this game has me really fucking conflicted. I don't know how I feel about it. I know I want to keep playing, and I will keep playing, because I enjoy playing it, but I also really fucking hate a lot of the stuff to do with the game. I can't wait for DLC to come out, and patches to come out, so that I can know how the state of the game is going to end up. But right now, I'm like in a gray zone. I don't know if I will keep playing the game, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, because I enjoy it, but there's a fuck ton of stuff here to make you never want to touch this game. So, I don't know, I hope this helped you decide if you want the game or not, because I know I focused mostly on the bad stuff, but I hope I touched on some of the good stuff that explains why I am still playing the game, like the gear progression, and how enjoyable it is to play with people, more so than other games where you can play with other people. If you want a more thoughtful, less rambly, ranty review of the game, I linked my text review of the game, which went up yesterday or the day before, depending on when this fucking renders, in the description or in an annotation of both. Probably both. Yeah, let's go with both. If you found this review helpful at all, leave a comment, like it, subscribe, any of that stuff. Share it with people who are still on the fence about if they want to purchase the game or not. If you're trying to convince someone to purchase the game, don't show them this video, because it's not going to do that, but it'll help them make a more informed purchase decision, that should be the goal of any reviewer, to just inform somebody about a game enough to make a conscientious decision about how they're going to spend their money. My name has been Sugardirth. Please follow me on Twitter and subscribe and all that shit to get future updates on videos and reviews and game stuff like that. I'm going to try to do at least one a month, one review. I want to get to a point where I can do one a week, but with school and work, that's not very feasible. Hopefully over the summer, when I'm not in school, I will have a lot more time to be able to just knock one out every week so that I can get into a more steady groove of things. But until then, follow me on that places things so that you can know when my videos and text reviews are up. The text review most of the time will go up a day or two before the video review, so if you only care about the text reviews, definitely follow me there. I'm not going to link to my WordPress, which is where I put the texts, because, I mean, no one's going to, like, I don't even know how you follow people on WordPress. I don't even know if that's a thing. I don't know how it works. I just post text there and stuff. It's I don't know. Anyway, see ya. Hope you enjoy the game if you end up buying it, and if not, I don't blame you whatsoever. Have a good night. See you later. Bye.
When we were activated, we knew the situation was bad. Worse than anyone knew. We are an elite, highly skilled group of embedded agents. They only call us when everything else has failed. We have no rules. We have no limits. Our job is to protect what remains.
We are your co-workers. We are your neighbors. We might even be your friends.
But when we get the call,
we leave everything behind.
We are
the Division.